We are continuing with surface chemistry. The first slide here is I'm just recalling what is Langmuir isotherm. Okay, so the mass of the gas adsorbed per gram of the adsorbent is related to equilibrium pressure, and X by M is AP divided by 1 plus BP, where A and B are constants. Okay, these constants A and B depend upon the nature of the gas adsorbed, the nature of the adsorbent and temperature. So, if we change the adsorbent or the if we change the adsorbent or the adsorbate, okay, or if you change the temperature, the values of A and B will keep changing. In the second slide here, what I have done is rewriting that X by M is equal to AP by 1 plus BP. Okay, I've brought the P down actually, and so this becomes X by M by P is equal to A divided by 1 plus BP. Now you take reciprocal of that. So P will go up, X by M will come down, 1 plus BP divided by A. So that is P by X by M. Now you divide the right hand side each term by A. So 1 by A plus BP by A. Compare this with the line y is equal to mx plus c. When we plot a line on a graph, we'll take along the y-axis. Okay, instead of the y, what do you have here? P by x by m. So plot P by x by m along the y-axis. On the x-axis, instead of y is equal to mx, so your x is now p. So plot p on the x-axis. Y is equal to mx plus c is a line which doesn't pass through the origin. Okay, but it will have an intercept equal to 1 by a, which is from where I got the intercept 1 by a. Y is equal to mx plus c. Instead of c I have 1 by a, and instead of m I have b by a. So the slope of that line will be b by a and its intercept will be 1 by a. Now what do we have in this slide? Okay, now I can write the first equation. I have written the first equation again for your reference. Okay, so that again you can rewrite. How can you rewrite? X by m is there, just take reciprocal without bringing the anything down, okay, without bringing any letter down like we did in the previous slide. Okay, in the previous one we brought down the p, isn't it? So now without taking the p down, you put m by x and just take reciprocal. So when you take reciprocal and then divide each term by AP on the right hand side, this is what you get. This is just, you should know that these are different forms in which this can be written, the first equation. Okay, so what we saw so far was a case of gaseous adsorbate on solid adsorbate. So this is when gas and adsorbent, when you have solid adsorbent and the adsorbate is a gas which is going on the solid adsorbent, then you will have pressure. But what happens when the adsorbent is replaced by a liquid? Okay, instead of having a solid adsorbent, when we have a liquid adsorbent, then the pressure term becomes the concentration. So what you see down is Langmuir adsorption and Freundlich adsorption, same formula only, but instead of P you must put C, where C stands for the concentration. Now the difference between physisorption and chemisorption. What happens as the temperature increases, the molecules, okay, will get kinetic energy. Something gets energy means what it will do? It will try to escape, so it won't get adsorbed. So what I'm trying to say is, when temperature increases, your adsorption is going to decrease. So adsorption is favored at low temperatures. Okay, if you see in the graph, I have not drawn what is on the x-axis. The x-axis is actually temperature. So if you plot x by m shows adsorption, isn't it? Adsorption against temperature, when you plot a graph, see how it is. As temperature increases, x by m is decreasing. You have learnt in Le Chatelier's principle. If you are not able to recall it, just understand. Le Chatelier's principle says that reactions which are favored at low temperatures will be exothermic. So this physisorption also tends to be exothermic. Now continuing with the differences between physisorption and chemisorption. What happens when temperature increases? Okay, the rate of adsorption will increase. In the case of chemisorption, it will reach a maximum and then it will start decreasing. So why it is happening? Adsorption increases because covalent bonds have to be formed. So the bonds are forming first when the temperature increases. Okay, so the bonds will form and they'll reach one maximum temperature. After that, if you start heating it, the bonds will start breaking. So if you see the graph here, you can see x by m plotted against temperature. See how this graph is. First which is increasing up and then coming down. But how was the graph for physisorption? it was decreasing, isn't it? I usually tell you how one is inversely proportional, like no, one increases, the other is decreasing. Okay, so make a note of this, is important. Okay, now we are coming to the next topic, catalysts. What is the work of a catalyst? A catalyst is generally used to make a reaction faster, you know. We'll come to that, okay. So catalysts are of two types, homogeneous or heterogeneous, okay. So before we come to that, first let us see why a catalyst is needed, okay. So take these two reactions, sodium hydroxide with HCl and silver nitrate with HCl. The reactions, these two reactions by itself, they are very fast, they take place in a few seconds, okay. So do you need a catalyst for this sort of reaction? No, a catalyst is not needed. So coming back, a catalyst speedens a reaction. If you take rusting of iron, it will take years to rust, okay. So you cannot try to speeden that reaction. It's going to take years. It's of no use speedening that reaction, okay. So oxidation of iron, there's no use making it faster by using a catalyst, alright, because anyway it's going to take a very long time. So when these catalysts are useful only if the reaction is very fast, or they can be used only in moderate reactions, not if it is very fast or very slow. If it is very fast also it's of no use. If it is very slow also it is of no use. Okay, so for example, you take this KClO3 decomposition by using heat alone, then you will get KCl and oxygen. Okay, that first reaction without a catalyst, it will take 4 hours to complete. But the second reaction takes around 15 minutes only, because the catalyst MnO2 is used there. Okay, so can you understand it? There should be some difference because of using the catalyst. Okay, so only in certain reactions we can use catalyst. So formally, we can define a catalyst as a substance which, when added to a reacting system, it will increase the rate of a reaction, but it won't be consumed. Nothing will happen to the catalyst. This phenomenon where we use a catalyst and make a reaction faster, that is called catalysis. Okay. Catalysis can be divided into two types, homogeneous catalysis and heterogeneous, based on the phase of the catalyst and reactions mixture. What do you mean by phase? Whether, okay, the reactants and the catalyst, they are in the same phase, that is both are solid, both are liquid, both are gas, like that. Can you understand what I'm saying? That if they are in the same phase, we say homogeneous. If the reactant and the catalyst, they are in different phase, then we say it is heterogeneous. So homogeneous catalyst is the one in which the reactant and the catalyst, we are not bothered about the products. See carefully, the reactant and the catalyst are in the same phase. And in heterogeneous catalyst, the reactant and the catalyst both are in different phases. Please make a note of these examples. They are very important. These are examples for homogeneous catalysis. So H2O2 is also aqueous. I- is also aqueous in the first example. In the second example, sulfur dioxide is also a gas. Oxygen is a gas. NO2 is a gas. Third reaction, oxygen is a gas, NO2 is a gas. So they are all, the reactant as well as the catalyst are in the same phase. So you can take these as examples for homogeneous catalysis. Okay, now we are coming to the next important thing. Okay, heterogeneous catalysis. When the catalyst and the reactants are in different phases. There are 5 steps in this. Okay. Now I'll assume the catalyst is a solid and the reactant is a gas. You see one blue box like thing, no? That I am taking as the catalyst, and the reactant molecules are the red ones. So what happens in the first one? The reactant molecules are coming to diffuse onto the surface of the catalyst. Okay, diffuse means they're going to come into the catalyst. In the second step, you see they're getting absorbed on the surface of the catalyst. Okay, they are going to get absorbed on the surface of the catalyst. Next, what happens? If you see, I have changed the color to green. So that means what's happening? Some product is getting formed there. Okay, it's got absorbed in it and new product is formed there. After that, the product gets dissolved. The product is coming out and again it diffuses back to the surface. You will understand this more clearly when I give a specific example in the next slide. Okay, so what is happening here? We are taking the reaction of sulfur dioxide and oxygen in the presence of the catalyst vanadium pentoxide V2O5 to give SO3. Okay. Vanadium pentoxide is a solid. SO2 and oxygen are gases. So this is heterogeneous catalysis. So what happens in the first slide? SO2 and oxygen molecules are coming to diffuse on the vanadium pentoxide surface. In the next step, both SO2 and oxygen are getting adsorbed onto the surface. Once they have got adsorbed on the surface of the catalyst, a new product SO3 is formed. Okay, it's in the catalyst, it's still adsorbed in the catalyst. In the fourth step, SO3 gets dissolved. Okay, it is not the same sulfur dioxide and oxygen. What is getting dissolved? SO3, and once again SO3 goes back to the surface. But has there any changes occurred in B2O5, vanadium pentoxide? No. So the catalyst is as it was in the beginning. Next, let us see the differences between homogeneous and heterogeneous catalysis. For homogeneous, from the definition I can say the catalyst and the reactant should be in the same phase. But for heterogeneous, the catalyst and reactants will be in different phase. In homogeneous, the reactions will happen only in the liquid or gaseous phase, but in heterogeneous, you need solid surface. Okay. Homogeneous, the rate does not depend on the surface area of the catalyst, but heterogeneous, if the catalyst surface area is more, then it will be more. You know, no? Then only it will get adsorbed more. Okay. In the last one, the catalyst will dissolve into the gaseous phase or solution. Okay, you will get a reacting mixture. But here the catalyst will not dissolve. It is easy for us to separate the catalyst from in the first case. It cannot be separated because it dissolves. But in the second case, catalyst you can remove easily from the products. In general, the homogeneous catalysis is faster because mostly it is gaseous phase and dissolving will happen faster. But heterogeneous is comparatively slower. These differences are very important. Please note it down carefully.